Hello, welcome to Revenant Reads. I'm Vin, and I'm just going to show you the books that I got in January of 2022. Okay, so between book mail, a little bit in the secondhand stores, bookstores, I picked up a good variety of books. I just figured I'd show you, and if you've read any of these, I'd love to hear about them. The first two books are ones that I got in the used bookstore, so they're only maybe like $1 each. And the first one is usually not my style, but I thought Jane Austen July this year, maybe I'll participate. Looks like a very quick and kind of a fun read, and that is Jane Austen's The History of England by a partial, prejudiced, and ignorant historian. Note there will be very few dates in this history. A complete facsimile of the original text with illustrations by her sister Cassandra. I know that Austen, in addition to her novels, wrote like little thing. I don't know if this is a juvenilia. I don't know if this was something that she wrote as an adult, but this looks like it would be fun to go through. Said it's got a facsimile actually of her writing, and then it has it. I don't even want to call it translated, but not translated, but written. The transcript is basically there. So this looked like it would just be a fun read for Jane Austen July. So that's why I picked that up again. It was like $1. I figured, why not? The other thing that I found in the used bookstore, actually, well, it was actually a Goodwill, not a used bookstore. But that is the Plantagenets, the warrior kings and queens who made England by Dan Jones. I like medieval history, although I definitely tend to gear my interests towards like Dark Age or early Middle Ages. Basically, up to and through 1066. The end of the Viking Age is kind of where my interest has always waned some. But I want to learn more, and I want to bone up on that area. And I had seen Erica over at Passage Through Time, her booktube channel. She reads a lot of that era. And she's spoken very highly, of course, of Dan Jones, who's a very well-known, popular historian. And I know that she actually really likes reading about the Plantagenets. And I saw this, and it's just a little, it's actually a pretty good condition for the most part. For a used book, it's not bad. So I figured, pick this up and start to learn more about that era of the Middle Ages, which, I certainly do not know enough about. So that's why I picked this one up. When I was at the bookstore, I found a book that looked very interesting. I do want to, I'm not going to be able to do it every week, but I do want to participate more in Poetry Thursday. And I found this book that seemed awfully interesting that I'll be able to dive into, and that is Death Poems. Classic, contemporary, witty, serious, tear-jerking, wise, profound, angry, funny, spiritual, atheistic, uncertain, personal, political, mythic, earthy, and only occasionally morbid. So it's just a collection of poems about death from various people from various ages, and it looked like it would be a very, I kind of have a morbid sensibility myself. I've always been attracted to that sort of thing. The darkness of life. I'm a big horror fan. Morbid aesthetics and all of that. So I figured this would be a fun one to go through. Hopefully I'll find some decent selections to share on Poetry Thursdays. And then I also had ordered some book mail. So I got a few books in the mail here. The first one is one that made its rounds on BookTube pretty recently. Served Cold, a HorrorTube anthology. Edited and with a contribution by our own Steve Donahue. You might have seen him. He's a 28-year-old influencer. Fun cover here. So it's just a collection of short stories, horror short stories that deal with the cold. And I want to try and hopefully be able to read this before spring comes. And considering how cold it's been here, we had an ice storm on Friday, and I tried going across my lawn just this morning with my dog, and I almost wiped out on the ice. So it is very cold. definitely a perfect time to try and read this. Hopefully I'll get some time soon. Another piece of horror that I'd seen, and I mean, that cover is absolutely compelling. I love that image. This is Come Forth and Thaw by Jason Robert Ducarmi. I'm not sure if I don't know how to say that last name. A self-published piece that I'd seen people talking about last year, I think earlier last year on BookTube. A novella, supposedly quite sad, dealing a lot with grief, but it was actually very affordable on Amazon. So you know, I was just kind of getting a bunch of stuff at once, and I saw that thing was inside my wish list, and just kind of brought me to a round number. So I picked this one up. Again, this is one that I'll probably hopefully read soon. I found I had read I'd heard about this book. It's a children's book. I had read about this at one point a long time ago as this being an inspiration for Edward Scissorhands, but then I kind of forgot about it. But then I was reading Clive Bloom's The Gothic Histories in January, about, you know, history basically of Gothic literature, drama, etc. And he talks about this book a little bit, and it reminded me of it. So I thought, you know, I've always wanted to get a copy of this thing, and this was originally 1845. It was originally released in German, and Heinrich Hoffmann, I think that he was a physician or something, or a doctor. Oh no, that's right. I think he actually worked with mental patients, and I think, from what I read about him, he was actually a very, very nice guy. He had a lot of success with mental patients, probably because he was actually very sympathetic. Not the kind of person that you would kind of, I shouldn't say that. I always say you don't expect those kind of people to make something like this, but that's not true. I know, you know, obviously for a fact that many famous horror directors are actually incredibly nice, very pacifist type people. But he obviously had a very twisted sense of humor. So he created this, I think, for his son. These were like little rhymes that he thought were funny, but I don't think most people find them funny. But like, you know, you got like kids practically drowning. They were illustrated as well. But they're very twisted children's poems. So again, I had mentioned you know, Poetry Thursday. I think I want to try and participate more in those, and I think I might read one or two from this book on Poetry Thursday. Look at this girl like catching on fire and stuff like that. I mean, these things are crazy. But yeah. Anyway, this and death poems will probably be showing up on Poetry Thursdays at some point when I actually get time to film those sorts of things. And the last thing that I had gotten in the mail is one that I began reading today. And that is The Landmark Thucydides, A Comprehensive Guide to the Peloponnesian War. So, along with Mark from Book Time with Elvis, and we're being joined this time by Stephanie Cohen. Mark and I are reading the Ancient Historians together. We had read Herodotus last summer. I think like maybe twice a year or something we might get through one of these. So now we're kind of going chronological order. We're looking at Thucydides. So yeah, I love these landmark editions. Or I should say I love the Herodotus one. They're very easily laid out. They've got in the margins quick summaries of the text. They've got the footnotes right there, so you don't have to go to endnotes. And also they are generally very good at providing maps, you know, for what is happening. Here we go. So there's another one there. Looks like maybe a little more of a military map, possibly. And yeah, this is going to be great fun. Like I said, I just began it today. But over the next few weeks, we're gonna finish Thucydides. So those are the books that I picked up. Again, some of them from used bookstores, some of them from the mail, some of them from the actual bookstore, and kind of an eclectic mix here. If you've read any of these, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on them. So, we got The Landmark Thucydides, Jane Austen's History of England, The Plantagenets, Served Cold, and there is, I think it's like Shock-Headed Peter is the translation. of that children's book. You got Deaf Poems and Come Forth in the Thaw. So, as always, thank you for watching, and if you made it this far, thank you, BookTube.